Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something that might sound a little crazy. What if King Charles III used his royal prerogative and successfully led a coup d'etat against the elected British government? How would he do it? What would be his motives? What would be the consequences? And how would the world react? In this video, we will explore the fictional scenario of how the British monarchy could regain power and overthrow the democratic system. This is not a prediction or a wish, but a hypothetical and speculative exercise. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this royal ride. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Before we get to the fictional scenario, let's discuss how the British monarchy lost their power in the first place. The British monarchy has a long and complex history, with its power waxing and waning over the centuries. One of the most significant periods in this history was the 17th century, when the monarchy lost much of its power and influence. This period was marked by a series of political and social upheavals, including the English Civil War, the Glorious Revolution, and the emergence of parliamentary democracy. The English Civil War, which took place from 1642 to 1651, was a key turning point in the history of the British monarchy. The conflict was fought between the forces of King Charles I and the forces of Parliament, which had become increasingly powerful in the preceding decades. Ultimately, Parliament emerged victorious, and Charles I was executed in 1649. This marked the first time in English history that a king had been executed by his own people. Following the Civil War, England was briefly ruled as a republic, with Oliver Cromwell serving as Lord Protector. However, this experiment in republican government was short-lived, and in 1660 the monarchy was restored with the ascension of Charles II to the throne. However, the restoration was not the end of the monarchy's troubles, as the Glorious Revolution of 1688 saw another significant shift in power. The Glorious Revolution was sparked by the perceived abuses of power by King James II, who was seen as a threat to English liberties. In 1688, a group of English nobles invited William of Orange, the Protestant ruler of the Netherlands, to invade England and take the throne. William was successful, and James was forced to flee the country. The Glorious Revolution marked the beginning of a new era in English politics, with a constitutional monarchy emerging in which the monarch's power was significantly curtailed. Overall, the Civil War and the Glorious Revolution were both key factors in this process, as was the emergence of parliamentary democracy and the growth of a more educated and politically engaged citizenry. Now, let's discuss various avenues through which the British monarchy could begin to consolidate power. The British royal family has a long history of wealth and influence. They have vast resources at their disposal, including access to powerful political and economic connections. These resources could be used to create a loyal army and a network of allies to influence public opinion and gain support for the monarchy. One way the British royal family could use their wealth and influence is by creating a powerful public relations campaign. They could use their connections to media outlets and advertising agencies to create a compelling narrative about the monarchy, highlighting its importance to British history and culture. By creating a positive image of the monarchy, they could win over public opinion and gain support for their cause. Another way the royal family could gain support is by using their wealth to fund political campaigns and support politicians who are sympathetic to the monarchy. They could use their influence to sway public opinion and push for policies that favor the monarchy. By aligning themselves with politicians and parties that support the monarchy, they could create a powerful network of allies who would work to advance their cause. The royal family could also use their connections to the military to create a loyal army. By building relationships with military leaders and funding military campaigns, they could create a powerful force that is loyal to the monarchy. This could be particularly useful in the event of a political crisis or upheaval, as the royal family could call on their army to defend their interests. In addition to these strategies, the royal family could also use their wealth and influence to create a network of allies in the business and financial sectors. By building relationships with powerful business leaders and financial institutions, they could gain access to resources and influence that could be used to advance their cause. While these strategies could be effective in gaining support for the monarchy, it is important to note that they would also face significant challenges. The British political system has evolved significantly since the monarchy was last in power, and it is unlikely it would be widely accepted by the public. Additionally, the monarchy has faced significant criticism in recent years, particularly in relation to issues of privilege and inequality. While the royal family has significant resources at their disposal, it is important to remember that public opinion and political realities could pose significant challenges to any attempt to regain power. Finally, let's hear the fictional scenario of what would happen if King Charles III successfully took over the British government. It was a dark and stormy night in London. The streets were deserted, the lights were dimmed, and the air was tense. King Charles, who had been crowned just a few months ago, was sitting in his office at Buckingham Palace, surrounded by his loyal advisors and generals. He had just made the most daring and controversial decision of his life, to use his royal prerogative powers and attempt a coup d'etat to overthrow the elected British government after years of political and military maneuvering. He had grown tired of the endless political turmoil, the corruption scandals, the social unrest, and the economic decline that plagued the country. He had also become disillusioned with the constitutional role of the monarchy, which he felt was too restrictive and irrelevant. He believed that he had a divine right and a duty to rule as a benevolent king, who would bring order, stability, and prosperity to his subjects. He had secretly amassed a loyal army of royal guards, veterans, aristocrats, and supporters who were ready to follow his orders. He had also secured the support of some foreign allies who saw an opportunity to gain influence and benefit from the chaos. He had waited for the right moment to strike. He knew that the Prime Minister and most of the cabinet were attending a summit in Brussels and that the Parliament was in recess. He also knew that the public was distracted by a major football match between England and Scotland. He had ordered his army to seize key strategic points in London such as Westminster, Downing Street, Whitehall, the BBC, and the Bank of England. He had also cut off all communication and transportation links with the rest of the country and the world. He had declared martial law and suspended all civil rights and liberties. He had announced his coup d'etat on national television, claiming that he was acting in the best interest of the nation and that he would restore the glory of Britain. The news sent shockwaves across the country, and the reaction was swift. Some people welcomed his move and celebrated, believing that he would bring back stability and security. Others were outraged and terrified and protested in the streets, fearing that he would impose a brutal dictatorship. Many were confused and shocked. They wondered how this could happen in a modern democracy. The loyalists and the rebels clashed on the streets. The Prime Minister and the cabinet tried to return to London, but were intercepted by royal forces. They were arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London, awaiting trial for treason. The Parliament was dissolved and replaced by a royal council of appointed nobles and loyalists. The Commonwealth realms denounced his actions and severed their ties with him. The international community condemned his coup d'etat and imposed sanctions and embargoes on him. King Charles was unfazed by the resistance and opposition. He believed that he had a divine mandate to rule and that he would eventually win over his subjects with his charisma and vision. The king understood the importance of public relations, and he launched a massive campaign to create a positive image of the monarchy. He appeared on television, radio, and social media, reassuring the people that his reign would be just and fair. He embarked on a series of reforms and policies that aimed to transform Britain into a powerful and prosperous monarchy. He increased military spending and expanded his nuclear arsenal. He withdrew from NATO, the EU, and the UN. He imposed strict laws and regulations on every aspect of life, from education to entertainment. He banned all dissenting voices and opposition parties. He censored all media outlets and controlled all information sources. He created a cult of personality around himself and his family. The king's reign was not without its challenges. There were several instances of protests and uprisings against his rule. However, the king's loyal army was able to quash any rebellion with force. He ruled for 20 years with an iron fist until he died of natural causes at the age of 94. He was succeeded by his son William, who inherited a divided and isolated country that faced many challenges and threats from within and without. In the end, while the king was successful in consolidating his power, the cost to the country's democracy and freedoms would be too high. Overall, the scenario of King Charles taking over the British government would be a catastrophic event for the country. Now, in real life, if King Charles were to attempt to take over the British government, it would result in a major political crisis. Such a move would not be supported by the population, and there would be widespread protests and calls for the preservation of democracy. The elected British government would resist such a move, potentially leading to a constitutional crisis. Ultimately, any attempt to reintroduce the monarchy through such means would most likely fail and would irreversibly damage the reputation of the royal family. This would lead to the abolishment of the British royal family as an institution altogether. And that's it for today's video on what if King Charles took over the British government. We hope you enjoyed this fictional scenario and learned something new. Of course, this is not a realistic or desirable outcome. We are not trying to promote or support any political views or agendas, but to stimulate your imagination and curiosity. What do you think of this scenario? How would you react if it happened? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.